I know nationally people are behind, but from what I see, and maybe I'm just being biased Browns fan or whatever it is, but from what I can see, I think this is a team that is operating more like what we think Pittsburgh and Baltimore operate like than Pittsburgh and Baltimore are operating right now. I'll just say that. You look at that whole situation they got going with Lamar Jackson, where he still ain't signed as of the recording of this video. Never would happen with Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns. Let's talk and shift focus. I think we talked about the quarterback position the last few times. Let's talk about other positions on this team,
get to it,
man. And I think there's a lot good here. I mean, part of the reason I've been talking about this roster a lot because I feel like this is one of the best rosters in football. If where do you feel the strongest about on this whole roster, G?
Man, this is well, obviously, to me, it's the backfield, right? If you ask me, like, who do I feel the strongest about? I love my edge rushers. I love them. I take those two tandem edge rushers, Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, over pretty much anybody. Like, you know what I'm saying, if I can get them. But the running back tandem, the running backfield in general, is just so it's so versatile. But it's different at the same time. It's almost like somebody saying this is a club ballad. It's slow, but it's fast at the same time. Like the fact that I could put split backs back there, and Kevin Stefanski, I know, Kevin. You tell me every year you want to keep them fresh. But, you know, when I start digging into my bag of tricks, I just start automatically thinking the things you can do out of split back gun. I love 21 personnel. You got the best of both worlds. Two backs. You got your tight end still in the game. I don't understand what you can run screen. You can run power. You can run off tackle. You can run jet orbit motion off that. You can run everything you want to run off that. You can run the real outside of that. You can split your backs out. You can shift them in motion. I just think that to me the best tandem and backs and triumvirate backs when you throw Dearness Johnson in there. And by the way, I love Ford. Jerome Ford from Cincinnati. Oh, I listen. I loved watching him play last year. Like him getting the ball and carries. Guy went to Alabama. A dude that was getting recruited there. I think he reminds me a lot out of Cleveland Browns running backs. It almost seems like the Cleveland Browns have an identity at running back now. Like it's like we got guys that is fast. We like guys that run hard. We like guys that make people miss. We like guys that can make you miss in a phone booth, stiff arm you, and then go 90 yards. He got the build, the type, and I just love what they got in the backfield. To me, I know, and people will say this, Quincy, you know, before we get into the film game, you know, just hand the ball off 90 times a game. That's not going to work. They're going to have to break some tendencies. They're going to have to throw the football to run the football. Jacoby Brissett is going to have to hit some of these throws in order to keep the running game going. Because I'm going to tell you what, for me, if I was playing the Cleveland Browns, good luck. I got 12 people on the line of scrimmage. It doesn't help that the only receiver that you got if I got the most confidence in the Browns running game, I got the least confidence in the wide receivers, and it's dwindling since you got David Bell, who's the guy that I thought was going to be a big vocal part of this offense, what they need to do. He's on the pup list. Now, granted, it's just a little light injury from Mary Kay or whatever the case may be. But when I'm looking at it from a term of like, dude, like, I mean, he's going to be behind the eight ball a little bit. I need you to get all the reps you can if you're going to be contributing, because I don't know what Anthony Schwartz going to give me. I know he fast in 100-meter AAU, but I don't know if he the man like can run routes. Donovan Peoples-Jones, we raved about him all last offseason. Didn't give me what I wanted. So if you ask me what I'm rocking and rolling with, I'm gonna go with the running backs. Who do you believe you got the most confidence in that's going to need to play in order to keep us in the playoff hunt while Deshaun Watson is not there?
I mean, in total, I have the most confidence probably in the defense. I think that there's a lot to indicate that defense is going to have a lot of things that carry over into this season. If I had to be specific, I would have to say the secondary. I mean, the running back room's easy because they're literally like deeper than Alabama in that running back room. Like,
Right.
they have the deepest running back room I think in recent NFL history. I can't remember one much deeper than that, and I think we'll see the extent of that when we get into preseason. Because remember, we were talking about John Kelly could make the team. He looked good in preseason last year. And he's like there still, right? He's 6, a distant 6, by the way. Like there's no chance John Kelly, like no offense,
Ever.
no chance he's making the team. It is not his fault. It's just nothing he could do to get on the team right now. But if I had to go somewhere else, I would go secondary. I think Greg Newsome is a stud. I think he's really, really good. I think Denzel Ward is excellent for exactly what they asked him to do. And then you look down the list, A.J. Green is somebody who had almost 200 snaps last year and an 86.3 Pro Football Focus grade with a 90 in coverage. Right now, it's Pro Football Focus grade. You take it with a grain of salt, but the tape looked good on him too. And he was really good last year in limited sets. Cool. So maybe he's your third. Maybe Greedy's your third. Greedy Williams, who played well last year, A.J. Green being your third and fourth corners, I feel like is a really, really, really solid spot to be in. I mean, if you want to throw in John Johnson, Grant Delpit, Ronnie Harrison, you're still 3-4 deep at safety. Guys that can flex in at linebacker. You can even throw JOK as somebody who can be in some flex DB situations there. And you could just see how flexible and athletic this coverage unit is going to be for this team in a defense that, you know, I know it frustrates a lot of people, but they're going to play a lot of cover 3. They're going to play a lot of 6, right? They're going to play a lot of, you know, smother you over the top, make you take something small up the middle, and then let A-Walk kind of wrap in and tackle that, right? Like that's just what they're going to play. They're not going to be blitz heavy. And I think that's going to lead to a lot more coverage sacks for this defense. And I think it's going to lead to a lot of turnovers for this defense. And that's probably what I have the most confidence in. I mean, I saw this defense damn near almost carry the Browns to the playoffs when the offense was refusing to do anything to help, no matter who the quarterback was out there. But, you know, I mean, we seen those games where Minnesota offense refused to do anything to win that game. The Detroit game, offense refused to help. We saw that in the Green Bay game. The offense refused to just hold on to the ball for more than 5 seconds, right? And you win that Green Bay game, you win that Raiders game. How many games where the Browns were just in awful offensive situations last year, almost won football games because the defense was that good last year. And I think now that they have a whole year of experience playing with each other, not much turnover on this defense, right?
At all.
Martin Emerson,
everybody back.
I haven't even mentioned the 3rd round pick, Martin Emerson.
Right.
Like that's how crazy deep they are here. So yeah, I think that I have the most confidence in these DBs. I think these DBs are going to be really solid for this team. I think there's a lot of people not talking about how good this secondary could be and how good this defense could be. They're going to be really surprised and really understand, I think, after a little while, why the Browns have been so confident that they could stay within a striking distance, even if Deshaun Watson misses a significant portion of the season, because they feel like the defense is really going to be enough to carry them to a significant amount of wins. I mean, defense, I know people underrate defense, but like, bro, I've seen a defense take Rex Grossman to the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying anything like that's going to happen. But I'm saying if a defense in any era can take Rex Grossman's sorry ass to the Super Bowl, then, bro, you're not going to tell me we can't win 5 games with Jacoby Brissett if the defense is good. Like, you're just not going to sit here and tell me that that's not possible when I have seen defenses do the impossible in that way. And you can argue, oh, the Browns don't have a Brian Urlacher. Yeah, we do. Myles Garrett. What are you talking about?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you this. I think there's 2 guys that could be special if they play like they're supposed to play. If they can come in and develop. One of them is JOK, and I think Grant Delpit gonna have a great year this year. I just like what I saw last year. And I get, you know, you're not gonna get that off. Like people don't understand when you tear an Achilles. I just tore my Achilles heel, partially tore it like probably like a year ago, and you just don't. You don't get back to feeling like nothing. You ain't explosive. You ain't got your legs up underneath you. You know what I mean? Now that he's got an opportunity to actually train, because you just learning to walk and do the regular baseline stuff. You ain't really getting better when you tear an Achilles heel or tear an ACL or something like that. But I was encouraged the way I saw him blitzing. I was encouraged the way I started to see some little bit of explosiveness. Thought one of his better games was Minnesota last year. I really thought he was flying around. It looked like the old Grant Delpit. And the guy that I think is going to change the game a little bit is JOK. When I was watching his film, just checking out what he was doing. And one of the things that it's just a different world. Like back in the day, we used to have to engage. Like if somebody was trying to reach you or a lineman was trying to block you, you had to punch, extend, you had to shed the block, then get off the block and then run inside out, tackle, keep the head on the other side. All that stuff just to get off a block, right? And if JOK needs to do that because he is so, he's undersized, that's a wrap. But I ain't never seen this before. Q, this man is just, the guard is getting free releases on him to the next level. And he just giving them basketball moves. Like, I'm going to cross you up.
He does legit do a Euro step.
Euro steps these cat, and the guards are just like, which way did he go, George? Which way did he go? Like, bro, he's out of here. Like, he's just giving guys moves. And back when I was playing, they say, don't run around the block. Psst, the hell I won't run around the block. JOK doing it. He's in the back. And it's like in a phone booth he doing it. It ain't like he's doing it in a 5 to 10 yard. He's doing it within 2 to 3 steps of strong, big uglies. And he's just making them look stupid, bro. I mean, he's just knifing in, making plays. And when you got a guy like that can cover, and plus you still got to account for a dude like Myles Garrett, and Jadeveon Clowney, I'm telling you, I think he's gonna have a special year for him.
I'm excited to see if he can get around the ball more often based on the positions that they put him in, right? Because he played a lot of will linebacker last year, which, you're gonna be around the ball sometimes, maybe as a blitzer, but you're not really asked to do a lot over there. Now that they may switch fields with them, asking to do some special assignments, I feel like he's gonna be around the ball more. And what we saw, was when you get JOK near the ball, it was a problem for offenses last year. So I'm excited to see that. I don't know how much more his level of play can go up to what he did last year, because he was pretty good last year. He was actually like one of the best linebackers
really
in football
good
last year.
Rookie.
Yeah, as a rookie. So I don't know how much different he goes up in level of play because he's already really good. But what I am intrigued to see is how much more of an impact he has on the game, purely because he's just around the football more often, because he can do more. That might be interesting, right? But yeah, the Browns have a lot of really interesting position groups. We kind of touched on wide receiver being one of those weak spots. Also, maybe interior defensive line. Position, G, they might have to call you, right, to get up in there. You ready?
Man, I got 3.5 plays, 3,
yeah, so
and then I'm like this.
No preseason.
And in those 3 plays, I can tear my whole lower body. Like, just, they'll be like, well, how did GBUSH get hurt? What is it? It's a lower body injury, coach. Both legs.
I've been hearing the Browns need to sign a veteran. I mean,
I would, you know what? They said they don't want to Dominic Sue no parts. Like, they don't want to get Sue in here. But I think for what they want to do, I mean, ain't nobody Aaron Donald, bro. They're gonna rotate guys in here. Sheldon Days and those Togi Eyes of the world and Taven Bryant. They're gonna rotate these guys in and see what they can do. Perrion Winfrey, big fella, I'm glad you signed your contract. I know you hype. Let's go ahead and get in here. It's up to you. If you want to play, I mean, there's minutes to be had. Like, because we auditioning for both of them tackle positions. We auditioning. We need somebody, young dudes, get up the field, disrupt. If you getting singled all day. All day you getting singled. Just like Match.com. You single, bro. You got Myles Garrett out there. You might even have JOK or Delpit blitzing. Come on, bro. You getting singled up. You're supposed to be eating in there, big fella. But if the 2 places that I think are a little weak, definitely weak, is I think they're weak in terms of what they got going on D tackle, obviously, and receiver, obviously. But like you said, I mean, you can't have a All-American, All-Pro, Pro Bowler at every position. I mean, the Browns are doing pretty damn good, if you ask me. The upgrade at the receiver with Amari Cooper, you got 2 world-class backs. I mean, you got nice corners. You just talked about it. Greg Newsome, I think, is really a guy to play inside, outside. I think he's going to have a beautiful future. So, to me, they don't have to rotate guys in, and that's where you got to draft well. and be able to plug some guys in and be pleasantly surprised by what they can give you.
Which the Browns have done quietly since, 2020? I would say at least 2020, right? You can argue 2019, but that draft's not that great because they didn't have a first-round pick. But you can say since 2020. I mean, you can even add in 2018 in there, right? Because, Baker Mayfield, and you can call that whatever it is. I don't think it's a bust. I just think he just wasn't the best quarterback in that draft class. I think you did all right with Baker. But you got Denzel Ward and Nick Chubb. You know what I mean? That kind of makes it up.
You can't hate.
But, I mean, how many players have been quietly? The Browns' last 5 drafts have been really good. 2017 filled with a bunch of good players. 2018 filled with a bunch of good players. It's hard to go back to a draft. Maybe 2019 when they didn't have a first-round pick. Book's still out on Grant Delpit. Well, no, that was a Greedy Williams year. So Greedy and Sione Takitaki, I think that might be it. Who's left on the team here from 2019?
And Greedy that and Grant Delpit second-round picks.
Yeah, and that wasn't even Andrew Berry at that point. But this team has been drafting well. This is what I'm saying. I think we have gotten far enough away from dysfunction and just being garbage Browns, which remember them drafts, it was taking Cam Wembley in 13. This is not that anymore. The Browns don't really waste that many picks. Yeah, that draft is just terrible. The 2014 draft is inexcusable.
Leon McFadden.
Over the one pick right before Tyrann Mathieu. But I'll never forget that. But, you know what I mean? Bobo Wilson, who never played a down 5th round pick for the Cleveland Browns, never even suited up in preseason games. But we're far enough away from that stuff. But we're close enough that we have this weird complex about it, that we're going to go back to it at any time. I feel like we could put those days behind us. We don't have to use those old mindsets that we had when the team is trash. The fact of the matter is we need to start thinking like other teams where, if a player's coming off the books, all right, cool. We got this young fella coming up. You know what I mean? Look at how Andrew Berry. There's a reason there's 5 really good running backs on this roster because he's preparing to get rid of at least one at the end of this year, right? Once a contract's up, Kareem Hunt wants to go. All right, bro, we got the next one. That's how they moved on, right? Boom. Talk about the center position, right? They had J.C. Tretter. All right, cool. That cap number got too high. All right, bro. Good luck. We'll bring up Nick Harris. We feel confident about that. And next year, when Jack Conklin's number gets up there, probably going to be we need to get Watson your money, and we're going to let James Hudson step that up right there. Yep. So they got it all over here, right? A.J. Green's going to probably take Greedy Williams' job once he comes up for an extension. They did the same thing with Troy Hill, right, when they traded him out of town. They have been preparing at all these positions to have replacements at all these spots. And I know nationally people are behind, but from what I see, and maybe I'm just being biased Browns fan or whatever it is, but from what I can see, I think this is a team that is operating more like what we think Pittsburgh and Baltimore operate like than Pittsburgh and Baltimore are operating right now. I'll just say that. You look at that whole situation they got going with Lamar Jackson where he still ain't signed as of the recording of this video. Never would happen with Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns. I mean, how fast did we get Myles Garrett locked up, right? If you look at Pittsburgh's situation where they got 2 quarterbacks in there that aren't that good and Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky in there, they can make all the jokes about our quarterback situation they want. I think everybody in the league would take our situation over their situation. So, and then they got that weird contract with TJ Watt. It's just the perception is not caught up with the reality in the AFC North, which is the 2 well-run franchises in the AFC North right now are the Bengals and the Browns. If you look at it and what they've done to support their quarterback, how they've supported the quarterback position over the years, and how they've gone about their business, Bengals and the Browns have really done that well. You look at even before this whole Lamar contract situation, they have not given him a primary wide receiver yet. They have played games on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to supporting him. They have traded away more players than they've traded for to be impact players around him. That's happening anywhere else. People are pointing out how mismanaged that whole situation has been But since it's happening there, people are kind of blind to it. I'm just saying,
You know.
the Browns and the Bengals have been run more like the Steelers and the Ravens than the Steelers and the Ravens. And I think that's going to be an interesting to see if everybody ever catches up to that, or if Pittsburgh and Baltimore will continue to get this respect that at this point, I don't know if they deserve. Because if you look at the last few years of how they've run this, it's not impressive what Pittsburgh has done. It's not impressive what Baltimore has done. What is impressive is the Cincinnati Bengals roster. What is impressive is the Cleveland Browns roster.
I don't even want them to be impressive. Hey, go ahead and fall back. Look, I'm looking for revenge, and I'm looking for blood in the water. I always tell people like this, man. If you want to get the Ravens and the Steelers out of here, you're going to have to get the Ravens and the Steelers out of here. They're not going to turn it over. They're not going to lay down and fight and lay down and die because you're the Cleveland Browns and you got Deshaun Watson. You got to make these dudes retire. Hey, and we got pounded for years with these dudes.
How long
it's time they pay back.
But I'm just saying, like, things can happen that quick, right? You know, because they got the old guard in there, right? TJ Watt's not going to let them be sorry. Cam Hayward's not going to let them be sorry. Yeah. Like, they got enough old dudes there to hold it down, but they're running out of old dudes. Like, that's really it. They got Cam. They got some guys on that defensive line, but that's it. That's all the old heads left. The old Pittsburgh mentality and then TJ Watt, right? Like, all the other guys are gone, right? Like, that used to hold down.
Out of here.
Tuitt's out. Joe Hayden's out. All the old Steeler guys, the Ike Taylors, all these dudes who were Steeler culture are out. The TikTokers are there in Pittsburgh, right? Like, when you think of Pittsburgh's locker room, you think of that stuff that be going on with them, right? You don't really be thinking about Cam Hayward and all of that, and the Mike Pouncey's and all that, because they're all on their way out. And it's like, yeah, Texas used to be a powerhouse program in college football too. So did USC. But then Reggie Bush graduated. Vince Young graduated. And then they became what they are now, which is not necessarily the top programs in the country, right? And I think that can change quickly, no matter how well people perceive it to be ran, right? If the Ravens lose Lamar Jackson, that's a 4-win team. Like,
no, they lose Lamar Jackson, they might as well start over.
Yeah,
like reset the video game.
And by the way,
the PlayStation.
By the way, if it would be the irony that the team that has prided themselves on not being the Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, if they do the ultimate quote-unquote Browns move, which is have a franchise quarterback who won the MVP in his second year in the NFL, has a 43 and 13 win-loss record. You are 4-11 without him as your starting quarterback since you've gotten him in 2018, and you let him leave in free agency, or God forbid you have to trade him to another team. Like, let that happen to the Baltimore Ravens.
I don't see how they can survive that. Like, why would you?
They should not be this is a situation that shouldn't even be spoken of, because it shouldn't be this close. It shouldn't be at this point. We should have never had the opportunity to talk about that contract, but they've given us this opportunity. They have put themselves at this point to where now a quarter bill is just the bottom line of what you might have to pay Lamar Jackson, right? They did this to themselves. And I'm just wondering when everybody else is going to catch up to the fact that, we got Myles Garrett under contract under league maximum money. We got Denzel Ward under contract under league maximum money. Deshaun Watson, he didn't get the highest number in the NFL. That's still Aaron Rodgers, right? You know what I mean? The Browns have been throwing around money, but it's been in a very efficient way to where they're not really resetting the market. Like, quarterback, you can argue they reset the market because obviously the guaranteed money was crazy in that deal.
Right.
But every other deal that they've signed for these top flight players haven't really done it. And and you can't say that for other teams because they ain't playing their cards as right. I feel like Eric DeCosta over there in Baltimore has been living off the reputation of Ozzie Newsome for a real long time, and he's done some cool things while he's been in Baltimore, but I don't think he's been anywhere close to Ozzie, and I don't know why we acting like they still got Ozzie out there making them decisions, because he clearly ain't Ozzie. He's cool. He's all right. He ain't Ozzie.
That's a lot to aspire to.
Yeah, like, Ozzie a two-time Hall of Famer. Like, he like Ric Flair with the Hall of Fame in the inductees, right?
Come on, man. He drafted Ogden, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, bro.
Yeah.
And Terrell Suggs. Come on.
And somebody here in Cleveland drafted Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and Nick Chubb. I'm just saying, like, which team reminds you more of? But that's another conversation for another day. I know some Browns fans are going to be low on themselves and call me all kinds of stuff for saying that the Browns have been better run than Baltimore and Pittsburgh. But I'm just calling it out. You know what I mean? Like, look at the roster. Look how the team's built. You tell me who's done a better job the last few years, Cleveland or Baltimore, because it ain't like the Browns have had a ton of first-round picks in this time, right? Since 2018, they had the 2 in 2018, none in 2019, none in 2021, and then like 1 in 2020. They've had a top 5 pick once, or top 10 pick twice, or 3 times, because in 2018 they had 2 top 5 picks. Yeah. But right. Andrew Berry himself, he's only had 1 first-round pick, right? And that was like the 9th pick of the draft. I'm just saying, look at what they've been able to do.
Not doing too bad. Not too bad.
And then look at how other teams are doing. I mean, the Bengals, they deserve credit for that too. I just guess this is going to be the AFC Ohio for quite a while. Or maybe I'm just talking shit. But that's going to be it for this week's GBQC conversation on the weekends. Hopefully we can make this a regular thing, G. Let them know where to find you, man.
Hey, man, definitely, man. Hit me up. Matter of fact, you listen. So let me get all the other joints out the way. So, yeah, you can find me at the barbershop 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on 92.3 The Fan. You can check that out on the Odyssey app if you miss it. Also, you can catch me every single day from 11 to 1 p.m. on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You can check that on YouTube. You can check that out. And that's on WKYC streaming app as well. That we will have a 30-minute show coming up in the fall. So we'll be doing that as well. We'll have a 30-minute show that will come on late night. So you can check that on WKYC Channel 3 in the Cleveland area. Finally, a daily podcast with the Locked On Browns podcast. I do a daily Browns podcast, Locked On Browns podcast with Jeff Lloyd. We've been doing that. Make sure you go check that out, man. Daily Browns podcast. We do that. You can get that wherever you download your apps. So you can check that on YouTube as well. And then finally, we're going to get to I do the host of the Browns tailgate show on 92.3 The Fan coming up soon here. We will be on every single game day, whether that's away or home. If you are home, come down to the West 6 in Barley House. We be down there all the time. They block off the street. You can check me out. We're down there from 9 a.m. to kickoff time. Me, Anthony Lyman, King Carmen, and Jonathan Peterlin.
All right. Boy, got a paragraph. Hey, look at that. That's a paragraph. My Indeed page only says 2 things. His Indeed page requires a citation, 2 sources.
All that matters is his Patreon is popping. His Patreon got a whole list. It's credit. It looked like the Lord of the Rings.
Stop it.
Twin Towers.
GBUSH will never be on here again. No, y'all have a good one.